Hello my loves, and welcome back to another video. Now today I'm going to be sharing the 5 steps that are crucial to healing from heartbreak, betrayal trauma, and basically after narcissistic abusive relationships. However, if you've just gone through any sort of heartbreak, these steps will still help you, but these are mainly aimed for people who have gone through a narcissistic breakup, as these relationships are far worse and harder to heal from than a typical normal relationship. And anyone who's endured it, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about, because narcissists, they don't just break your heart, they also break your spirit. So this is why it can take much longer, because your whole nervous system is dysregulated, and it's basically like getting off a drug. It's that bad. So the betrayal runs far deeper than the typical normal sort of breakup that you could probably get over within a few weeks or months, where a narcissistic abusive relationship can take sometimes years to recover from, if you ever do. So before we get into it, you know, this topic is very serious. I highly recommend watching the video that I've done previously, sharing the signs of narcissistic traits and abuse and the impact it has on victims, so you can really understand whether or not you've endured it yourself. So without further ado, let's get straight into it. So number 1 is you must allow yourself to grieve. So this can be very difficult, because most people, when you are feeling immense pain, especially after a discard, after you've been betrayed, cheated on, you know, anything like that, you'll want to do everything you can to avoid the pain, avoid the suffering. And most of the time, people who have been through a narcissistic discard, that's when they just toss you aside. Even avoidance, or dismissive avoidant people do this as well. But a lot of them I found actually are covert narcissistic people, or they have very similar traits. But basically when they just dump you, abandon you, you know, like that, very randomly out of the blue, it can be extremely painful. And this can be a shock to the system. So basically, like I've said in my other video, if you are in a narcissistic abusive relationship, you would have built a trauma bond. Now, trauma bonds are extremely difficult to break, and they're just as bad as if you're basically addicted to a severe drug, a class A drug. So the biggest trick that they use is intermittent reinforcements. So this is the hot cold behavior, the validation, love bombing, and then the devaluation and the abandonment. So it's always like love, pain, pain, pleasure, pain, pleasure. This is what makes you basically get brain damage. So this is why it is so difficult to actually allow yourself to go through the grieving process. So that is the first step, is actually to feel the pain, to cry, because what you're going through is no different to when someone actually loses a family member. Because a lot of the time after a discard, that person that you could have been with for 5, 10, 20, 30 years will treat you like a complete stranger, or they'll villainize you. So they'll make it all about you being a monster, being a villain, being this, being that. They'll shift all the blame onto you, so they avoid all accountability. Because they know what they're doing is wrong deep down, but they don't care because they lack empathy. So it can be very shocking to the system, extremely shocking, disorientating, because it will feel like, what the fuck has happened? And it's like getting basically the rug pulled under your feet. So, but this is why you must really treat them as if they are dead. Because in reality they are, because the person that they showed you in the beginning, or the person that they showed you when they were manipulating you with love bombing, with hoovering, is not the real them. You know, the mask that fell off, the monster that you saw when they discarded you, or when they cheated on you, or whatever, that is their true energy. That is who they truly are. They're not that fake persona that they showed you in the beginning, particularly when you first met. You know, normally for around 3 to 6 months, but especially on average 3 months of the love bombing phase. They're not that. So allow yourself to grieve, to cry, to scream, to do whatever you got to do to get out all of that energy. Also allow yourself to rest, because your body naturally when you're a genuine victim of narcissistic abuse, you'll suffer from chronic fatigue. So you'll be absolutely exhausted when the anxiety subsides. So as frustrating and difficult as it can be, because you will feel like a zombie, you need to move through it. So allow yourself to rest, to recharge, so your body can naturally come out of its fight or flight system, fight or flight mode. Because normally you'll either be on fight or flight or fawn or freeze. Your nervous system will be doing one of those 4 things whenever you're with a narcissistic person. This is how you know who the true victim is, because a lot of the time the narcissist will blame you. They'll say, oh, you're this, you're the narcissist, you're the toxic abusive one. But then they're off running, traveling, partying, drinking, shagging other people like that. As soon as they're out your life, as soon as they've dumped you, discarded you, you know, they've got all this energy to like go find themselves, to, you know, work hard in the gym, to build a business, to do all this. Victims don't have this energy. The victim will be broken and normally riddled with health complications, with mental health issues. So this is what you need to now work through. Because now that they're out the picture, if they stay out the picture, you will be able to heal. But it's going to take time. So this is why you have to allow yourself to feel the anger, feel the pain, cry, cry, cry. Because the more you cry, that is yourself releasing stress. When I came out of a narcissistic abusive relationship, I cried for about 1.5 years straight, on and off. So, but for the first discards, I was literally crying for 3 months straight. Every single fucking day, every single night. I was either just comatose like a zombie or crying. But you need to do this. And most women do. It's normally men or narcissists that are the ones who just don't give a fuck, and they're suppressing their emotions with drugs, with substances, with alcohol, using other people for sex, whatever the case. Or even just being a workaholic. None of that will work. You know, but it's a process. So this can last for a few weeks, a few months, normally a few months to be honest, even a few years. But you must get it out of your system. Because if you don't, your spirit will never return. Your nervous system will never heal. So you must allow yourself to fully embrace every emotion, every painful feeling. Because trust me, it is the most brutal pain. And I feel for people going through this because I know how difficult it is. Because remember, if you don't release stagnant trauma and pain and emotions, that can turn into disease. That will take your body into a very dangerous place. And it will normally cause some sort of physical illness or issue, or very severe mental issues, mental health. And it can be very dangerous if you're then mixing that with substances or this or that, or cluttering your energy with other people's sexual energy, etc. So number 2 is acceptance and education. So this is going to really help you, you know, after the grieving process, after you've had a good cry, you know, rest, kind of been in hermit mode for a while. But whilst you're doing that, I highly recommend educating yourself, learning about the dark triad personality types, learning what a toxic man is or a toxic partner is, really understanding what basic needs are, really educating yourself on how you should be treated, how you should be respected and loved. Because most of the time, unfortunately nowadays, you know, the bar is so low in relationships, and women who are literally yearning for the bare minimum, for the basic needs of just a healthy relationship, are getting branded as anxious attached, clingy, this, controlling, when it's not. You are literally asking for the bare fucking minimum. So please watch all my videos on what, you know, toxic versus healthy relationship dynamics are. Learn what narcissistic traits and abuse is. You know, there is a lot of content on that, and some people don't have the full picture. And, you know, I find the best creators who talk and educate about narcissism are the ones who have truly been through it. because otherwise it can seem a bit cold, a bit like, you know, just theory. You know, people, you can always tell the people who've actually endured it and come out the other side as just a normal therapist, because most normal therapists don't even know what narcissistic abuse is. So I highly recommend finding a very good educator, coach, a narcissistic survivor who's now a coach to help you through the process. This is what I did, and it massively, massively helped me, because they will validate what you're going through. They will help break the cognitive dissonance, because whenever you're with a narcissistic partner and you have a severe toxic bonds, trauma bonds to them, you'll be so addicted to them that you'll do anything to justify being back in a relationship with them. So most of the time it will be the empath, you know, the anxious person who will keep chasing, and the narcissist will just play them like a little puppet, come in and out of your life. So, you know, it's like you're never going to break free. You must educate yourself on the cycle of abuse, which is love bombing, devaluation, discard, hoover. Every single narcissist has this 4-step cycle. They're very predictable when you understand how they move, how they treat people, because you will not be the first person that they have done this to. They will probably have a history of treating people this way. So whether you know, are able to find that out or not, this is why I don't trust a man who says, oh, my ex was crazy, because most of the time they drove their ex crazy. Most of the time they made that poor woman or poor man have a mental breakdown through reactive abuse. Because this is what people who go through these types of situations normally feel a lot of guilt or shame over, because they turned aggressive or this or that, or they snapped, because normally they will drive you to reactive abusive behaviors. So you must educate yourself on all the tricks and dark psychological shit that they do to you. So please go watch my narcissistic abusive relationship video. So basically the 12 signs and traits and the impact that it has on victims. So that is a 2-hour video, and I still didn't cover all of it. There's so much to this topic. I myself have researched this for years now, because I unfortunately endured a 5-year relationship with an overt narcissist ages ago, and then a 6-year one with a covert. So I've seen both types, but there's actually more. There's around 6 types. But even if you're just with a toxic person or a dismissive, avoidant type man or woman, they can cause just as much trauma. So you must learn, you know, attachment styles. You must learn, you know, what true feminine and masculine energy actually looks like, so you can set yourself free. Because once you understand that you are actually getting emotionally abused, once you understand the tricks and pattern and abusive behaviors that toxic, narcissistic or psychopathic people put on their victims, it will be so much easier for you to heal and to let go. Because if you don't acknowledge and accept reality, you'll stay in the state of delusion. Because the key to letting go and moving forward and breaking the trauma bond is acceptance. You must accept the harsh, brutal truth. And this can be one of the hardest steps, especially when you thought, oh, this person is my twin flame or my soulmate. This person is going to be the person I marry. It is absolutely soul shattering when the harsh reality hits you in the face, when you realize, oh my God, they've just been using me for years. Oh my God, this person never loved me. That horrible gut feeling that you pushed down was right all along. Because a lot of the time, especially women, your intuition will know. You probably would have felt something was off, or you didn't quite feel loved by them. So it's very, very hard to face the reality of really getting scammed, because that's what it is. That's why it's betrayal trauma, because you thought this person had your back, they were your best friends, you know, they were never going to abandon you, they was going to be there for you, you know, because obviously you were loyal to them. When you've basically sacrificed years of your time and energy, you know, and shown so much love and loyalty to another human being, you expect the same in return, obviously. So when you don't get that, it's such a harsh, awful, brutal pain to really accept, shit, I've just wasted all this time. But trust me, it's so much better to acknowledge the truth now rather than later. Because if you just stay in their circus and stay a little puppet, it can kill you. Like if you stay longer with a narcissist or a toxic partner, they can literally kill you from the stress. Trust me, this almost happened to me. This happens all the time to people who stay in toxic relationships. They get so brutally ill, and then normally it can lead to serious physical illnesses or serious mental illnesses. If you need one-to-one help, if you're currently going through this, then please click my link down below, because I do help and specialize in people healing from this. You know, I myself have had to go through this. I know how brutal it is. So it's very important that you get extra help, like I was saying before, with people who actually have endured narcissistic abuse and come out the other side. So number 3 is to go no contact. Now a lot of people will say this, you'll probably hear it time and time again. But again, this can take time, because when you're in the midst of a severe trauma bonds, it will be almost impossible to go no contact, because it's kind of like you will literally go through withdrawal symptoms. So when the narcissist discards you and they just fuck off out your life, they'll always stonewall you, they'll ghost you, they'll block you. So they'll give you like no closure, no nothing. So this will send your whole nervous system massively out of whack. Your whole nervous system will go into extreme anxiety. So you'll be like having panic attacks, severe panic attacks. You won't be able to sleep. You won't be able to eat. When I went through this, I literally couldn't eat for 2 months straight. I literally lost 2 stone in that amount of time. Because every time you put a food into your system, your body just can't handle it. Sometimes, a lot of the time, you'll throw up as well. So you'll literally be that is literally you going through withdrawal symptoms. Just like how you see people who go into rehab, when they are trying to get off a drug, they go through hell. You know, they'll get all shaky, sweaty, anxiety, panic attacks, angry, your emotions will be everywhere. So you'll just be a complete chaotic mess. Depending on how long you're with this person, of course. So it's such a difficult thing to obviously, first of all, go no contact. But trust me, it's so vital for you to heal. Know that in time, it will slowly subside, just like a drug does. So this is why it's so important to learn and educate yourself on trauma bonding. Because once you acknowledge, I'm reacting this way because of my physical body, my physical brain is going into panic mode and it's craving that, you understand what's going on much, much better. So this is what relates to number 2, is acceptance and education will make this process much, much quicker. Because remember, on average, it takes about 7 attempts for you to break away from a toxic abusive relationship, especially with narcissists. It can sometimes take way more. So really understand and have like compassion for yourself. But just know that every time you allow them to come back in, it's like you're back at square one, sometimes within your physical body, because them being back in your presence will reactivate the neurological neurons within your brain related to the trauma that they've caused. So it's kind of like exactly the same as when someone gets clean off a drug and then they're fine. If they allow that drug to come back into the system, they'll get addicted again. Because trust me, a narcissist will treat you worse and worse and worse the more you forgive them. See, a normal person doesn't do that. But with a narcissist, they'll think, oh, you're such a fool in their sick head. So they'll see that, oh, this person has no boundaries. This person just lets me do whatever the fuck I want. They'll take advantage of you more. They'll punish you more. And it doesn't matter how you treat them. They won't appreciate you forgiving them. They'll probably love bomb you and be on their best behavior for a few days, a few weeks if you're lucky, and then they go back to being abusive again. So if you're not aware of narcissistic abuse, you'll keep doing this same cycle, and this is why you see people getting back into toxic relationships again and again and again. But eventually, even they will have like a breaking point. Your boundaries are being overstepped. you're not being respected. You're being fucking abused. Even when you're forgiving this person for lying, abandoning you, cheating on you, and then they have the audacity to still disrespect you, to still abuse you and repeat the same thing. Like, it's insanity. If you forgive them for doing something really bad and then they continue to hurt you, that is your closure. That it doesn't matter what you do, you will still be treated like shit. Because whenever, like I said, you allow them to come back into your life, they can re-trigger all that pain. They can undo all the healing that you've done. So do not let them back. If you are like almost healed or have healed and you're like, you know, more settled, more at peace, never, ever, ever, ever let them back, because they will undo all of the hard work that you have done to regulate your nervous system. Because as soon as you've regulated your nervous system and they see you doing better, they see that you've moved on and you become more indifferent to them, that's when they'll come in a lot of the time. So, and then they'll completely dysregulate you again, because narcissists love to see you like a mess, chaotic, crying over them, chasing them, begging them. You know, they get this sick pleasure out of it. Use discernment. Don't forget what they put you through, because they'll do it all over again. Trust me, this happened to me. So, you know, and it doesn't matter what trauma they have. It doesn't matter if they abuse drugs or substances. It doesn't matter what they're going through. Don't let someone back because of, oh, you love them and you're going to go through hell to try and fix them. Don't allow that. Because people must be responsible for their own healing. And narcissists, because they refuse to accept that they're flawed, they refuse to see their shadow. They refuse to take accountability to what actions they do that hurt people. Because narcissists can't face any sort of feelings of shame or criticism. They dismiss it, they run from it. They basically live in a fantasy la-la land where, you know, they're the victim or they're the hero or they're perfect. So if you see that this person is like just not changing after apologizing to you, you must leave. You know, actions prove someone is changed and is genuinely sorry, not words. It's so easy to just say, I'm sorry. But a lot of the time, a narcissist or toxic person will only say that they're sorry because they want something from you. Everything in their head is transactional. Otherwise, they won't bother. If they've got a new supply or whatever that they want, they won't bother with you. They won't care if you've got cancer, if you're dying, if you're basically suicidal. They won't give a shit what you're going through, because they are extremely selfish. They operate on a demonic consciousness, okay? So this is why they're like energy vampires. They only come to you to feed off your energy, to boost their ego, to siphon your energy. So you must go no contact, or as little contact as possible if you have kids with them. Because I know obviously if you have children, it's way more complicated, but you must talk to them like a co-worker. Be very blunt, very cold, very businesslike. Bear that in mind. No contact also means don't look at their social media. Now, I know this can be very hard in the beginning, like I was saying, when you have a trauma bond with them, because that is also you getting the hit of dopamine every time you look at their social media. But a lot of the time it's going to be dopamine and pain. So it's the same thing. It's keeping that trauma bond alive. So bear in mind, in time, you will be able to look at their social media or see their name or whatever, and you'll feel nothing. And that will literally be the most freeing, empowering feeling ever. That's when you know you've healed, is when your old triggers and seeing or hearing their name or whatever, or their face doesn't like make you feel anything anymore. That's when you know you've healed. When you don't care who they're with, who they're shagging, or, you know, what they're doing. Even if they're trying to like villainize you, you just don't care anymore. Because you know who you are. You know the truth. You have evidence of the truth. So it's like, it doesn't matter. Even if they're trying to portray themselves as like, oh, a little victim or a hero or whatever, it's like you won't feel anything anymore. So don't try to prove yourself, because narcissists love that. Basically, you must starve them of energy. You must starve them. Like a parasite, you must stop feeding them. Because a narcissist relies on your energy for supply. So narcissists always seek supply, which is energy from people. So this is why you must stay in no contact. You must stop looking at their social media. You must block their calls. You must block their texts. You must delete everything. So all their pictures, videos that you have on your phone, you literally have to pretend as if they've died. They must be dead to you. There's a whole deeper spiritual aspect to narcissists, okay? This is why many people call them demonic. So I've spoken more about this on my Patreon. So if you want to learn more of the occultic side of it, then I highly recommend signing up to my Patreon. So the link is always down below. But basically what they are is they feed off your spiritual essence. So you must remove yourself of that. You must protect and shield yourself from them. What you need to do is focus on yourself. You must detach your energy. You must understand that they are incapable of love. And you must understand that if you know that they're with a new person, because a lot of them will post fake, stupid pictures on their social media. You know, again, this is a big sign to know who's the victim and who's the narcissist. Is the narcissist will very quickly post, happy pictures on their social media of them going out, having fun, traveling, or with their new partner. They basically try to make this whole facade of like, look how happy and successful I am, even if they're struggling, you know, in reality, because all they care about is their self-image. And they also do it to hurt you. So this is why you must not give them that satisfaction. You must just not bother looking at it. Because again, the more you look at it, the more it's going to trigger that trauma. The more it's going to hurt you. The more it's going to keep that trauma bond getting activated and strong. This is why it's so hard and so many people struggle. Because you have to actually rewire your brain. And this is why many people mistake trauma bonds between a narcissist and an empath with twin flames. And that's a whole other concept and video that I'm going to do. Because most people who think they're in a twin flame relationship are not. You're actually severely trauma bonded to a narcissistic person. So you must know that you are capable of doing anything. You do not need this toxic parasite in your life. So use that to motivate you. And don't think, oh, what if he's going to change for the new person? They don't. They don't. Trust me. They always hurt the next person because these people, these demons are not capable of love. But in time, that person will learn. You know, I was the rebound to my ex. So I know he'd only been separated from his previous supply for 3 months. And then I was the next supply, and he done the exact same thing with her. She called him a narcissist and this and that. I didn't believe it at the time. And then I soon learned. And I wish to God I listened to her. I wish to God I took it more serious. But I started to see the red flags for myself. And she was a psychologist, but at the time I did not know nothing that I know now about psychology and narcissism. So, because a lot of normal people don't until you actually go through it. You know, a lot of people have no idea what narcissists are, even normal therapists. So it's a very specialized thing that you only really know if you endure it yourself. So this leads me on to number 4. So I highly recommend staying single and celibate whilst you're healing from this. You must be very regulated when you think about dating people again. Because if you're not, you'll be very triggered, uncomfortable. You'll be even paranoid. You'll be like scared, thinking, are they a narcissist? Or you'll be very hypervigilant. You'll be thinking like, you know, are they going to hurt me? Are they going to, you know, do the same thing? So it can be sort of unfair to obviously the person trying to get to know you, trying to date you. But at the same time, because you have this sort of tainted dark energy still within you because of the trauma that you've gone through, it can still sometimes be a magnet to attracting that same type of person. So it's like you've gone from one frying pan into another. And then it's like, oh, now you've attracted another person, you know, a very toxic situationship, which many women find themselves in, who is going to hurt you again when you're already hurt, when you're already vulnerable. So it really isn't a good idea to be jumping into a relationship. You know, narcissists will always do this. They'll always go from one person to another because they just use people like toys. But, you know, don't do the same. Don't mirror them. A lot of the time, you know, people who are going through a lot of pain, or endured a lot of trauma, especially with this sort of thing, they'll have now no confidence because the narcissist would have made you feel so shit about yourself, so insecure, like completely mess up your self-esteem. They'll make you feel like, oh, no one's going to love you as much as they did. You're not going to do better than me, but, or a demon. So it's like, of course you can. But in reality, it's like they've put a hex over your brain. So this is why you have to be gentle, heal yourself. And then when you're ready, you don't have to be obviously 100% perfect, but when your nervous system is at least regulated, then you can do casual dates. But I do recommend staying celibate, because celibacy is what's going to, again, help you heal your energy again. It's what's going to give back your energy, because toxic people siphon off your sexual energy. And then whenever you have a sex with someone, it's an exchange. It's an energy exchange. Unfortunately, a lot of women, when you've like been abandoned or discarded or been pushed away so much by obviously a person that you thought loved you, it will make you yearn and crave intimacy. And unfortunately, that can make you vulnerable to men using you for their own sexual pleasure and then doing the same thing to you. So you have to be very aware of that you're not craving really sexual intimacy. You're craving love. You're craving emotional connection. So this is what makes you vulnerable. This is what can potentially get you in trouble, because you'll kind of like give yourself away just so you can like be held in someone's arms. So you can get a little bit of validation that you're, you know, attractive or worthy or lovable, or, you know, someone who's giving you a bit of, you know, nice attention. It's very common for people who have been discarded and pushed away by either covert narcissists or dismissive, avoidant type people. You know, they'll completely shatter your self-esteem. So naturally, you'll want a bit of comfort and love and validation that, oh, you are good enough to be in a relationship with, or whatever the case. So, but it's a toxic energy. It's not your fault, but it's something that you need to heal. You need, because you're still then putting your self-worth in the hands of a stranger, in the hands of another man. And if that doesn't go well, which most of the time it doesn't, they can destroy your self-esteem all over again and make you feel worse. So you have to be very, very careful when you're still healing. So I highly recommend really staying single for about a year. Give it a good year for you to like recalibrate, to heal, to be gentle with yourself, to learn the red flags of narcissistic abusive people, to learn the toxic traits of men and toxic women, so you can stay away from them. Because the last thing you want to do is attract and fall for another toxic person, and then they traumatize you again. So you must take a step back. You must now, like with step 2, educate yourself. Learn the boundaries, learn about dark psychology, learn how and what to look out for, set boundaries and stick to them. So if you're looking for a man that, you know, is not selfish, who's obviously not a narcissist, who doesn't watch porn, who doesn't, you know, have a wandering eye, who's basically very respectful, mature, stick to that. Also financially stable, someone who's not all over the place, someone who doesn't have a drug addiction, you know, all these chaotic things. You don't need that in your life, because especially when you're already exhausted, because you've literally been through war in your body with a toxic partner already. So the last thing you want to do is attract another person that's going to siphon off your energy, because you need enough energy to be in a healthy relationship. You must understand that it's not worth it. It's just not worth it. Because a lot of the time you're only craving sex or intimacy because you feel lonely and because you've been abandoned or whatever, and you want that validation from someone. But this will pass. The more you become confident and sure about yourself, the more you heal, that feeling will go away. But it takes time and work. So it doesn't mean that, oh, you're never going to feel a bit lonely again, but you'll find peace. You will start to treasure your inner peace more so than being with a man or a woman just because you feel a little bit lonely. It's not worth it. Your inner peace is so precious and needed after you've been through literal war with someone else. Because if you don't allow time, if you don't give yourself that space to just find yourself again, you'll completely forever lose yourself. Get off the dating apps and give yourself time to actually find yourself, to heal, to have a gentle life, to focus on your self-care. Mainly focus on your mental health, because that is the number one thing that needs to be addressed. That is the number one thing that needs to be healed, and your physical body. And then when you're feeling more like yourself again, basically when you're feeling more like how you were before that person destroyed you, then you're ready to date. But even then, take it slow, because a lot of narcissists, they rush things. So when you get with a narcissist, they rush dating all the time. They'll want to get in your knickers as soon as they meet you. They'll want to move in really quickly. They'll rush. So learn the tricks that these toxic people use. Don't fall for it. And it doesn't mean that you're responsible for attracting narcissists. It's just narcissists tend to go for empathic people because empaths are very loving. Empaths are very empathic. Empaths forgive a lot. Empaths have very weak boundaries. So this is why narcs love empathic giving people, because they give so much of their energy to the point where it kills them. So you must retain and acknowledge how precious your energy is, because your energy is fucking gold. It is the ultimate currency for energy vampiric people. So the last step is, of course, to implement self-care and self-respect. So this is so vital. So basically you must now make your whole life's priority about healing your nervous system, making you feel safe again. Because if you don't, you'll forever either live like a hermit, or you'll be constantly chasing validation from other men or other people. So you must learn to regulate yourself, regulate your emotions, and take things slow. So in order to attain this, the last thing you want to do is stress yourself out. So this is actually going to require a gentle approach, because the last thing you want to do, especially as a woman, is to overexert yourself when you already have high cortisol levels. This is going to make you gain weight, feel shitter, lead to all other health complications. So you need to be gentle with yourself. So take time. So give yourself time to grieve, time to rest. I'd say like a month or two. And then when you're feeling ready, go for walks, do gentle sort of exercises, and then you can get back in the gym. And if you're able to get back in the gym sooner than that, don't be doing crazy HIIT workouts. Don't be doing anything that's extreme. Don't be running and sprinting, anything that's gonna make your heart rate go really, really, really high, too much. A lot of the time, most victims can't do this anyway. I couldn't, because every time my heart rate would get high, I'd have a panic attack. I had a few panic attacks in the gym, 2 years ago when I was first healing from this, because it was my body would just shut down and couldn't take it, because it was past the thresholds of stress, its limit already. So this is what you need to understand, that your threshold has already been overtaken. So you need to lower it. You need to lower that energy of stress and cortisol by taking things very slow, very gentle, and making your body and your mind feel safe. So this also includes neutralizing triggers. So any sort of trigger that is associated with your ex-partner. So even changing your environment around. So if you're living with your ex, and obviously you had horrible memories that are associated in that house, you know, paint the walls, completely redecorate your home, completely shift your environment around as much as possible. Get rid of like the bed sheets that you slept on, you know, get rid of things that remind you of them, get rid of any gifts that they've given you, or at least, you know, cleanse them, sage them thoroughly. You know, really clean your space, change it around, even have a physical makeover. But more importantly, is trying to get rid of old triggers that make your subconscious get activated again. Because a lot of the time, sometimes you won't even know your triggers, but your subconscious will. And then something can like trigger it. And then it's like you feel like shit, or it delays the healing. So I highly recommend, you know, getting a new bed, painting the walls is the best thing. Because as soon as you paint a room, it completely makes it feel new. It completely changes the whole frequency and energy of the space. So, but again, I would stay away from very bright colors because they're too overstimulating. Try to get cool tones or natural tones. So for me personally, I love like greens, you know, browns, basically any sort of color that you'll see in nature. So even like plants are so healing. Even if you're not very good with plants, just get one and nurture that when you get the energy to, of course. So this can be a few months or weeks down the line, because of course you'll probably have severe fatigue for a while. But when you have the energy to do that, get plants, you know, try to make your space very beautiful, very safe. You need your home to be like a little healing hub. And if you only have a room, like a bedroom, then just do it in there. You know, change the color, get plants, declutter, even throwing away clothes that you had like arguments in, or really thoroughly cleaning them and saging them. So I sage them and then give them a wash. Just little things like that, honestly, make a huge change to your subconscious and to your nervous system. So then also get into the habit of listening to very calming music. You know, like listen to bird songs, because birds singing is actually proven to calm your nervous system down. So what I'll do every morning is go on YouTube and I'll literally put on like just nature sounds. Or I'll open my window, and luckily I have loads of birds that are around me, so I can just listen to them singing in the mornings, which is like instantly makes me feel more relaxed. But at night, you know, if you struggle to sleep, play soothing music. For me, I either listen to rain, you know, sounds, or some sort of binaural beats that calms the brain, that helps you sleep. So just really make that your absolute #1 priority of de-stressing. It's extremely important. So you must prioritize peace. So this is even like avoiding things that make you feel triggered, like upset. So don't watch films that are like to do with anything to do with like toxic relationships, you know, anything that's going to like bring back horrible memories. Or if someone like cheated on you, like don't watch films about adultery or that have loads of sex scenes in them, you know, because that will trigger you massively. In time, you'll be able to, like for me now, I can watch pretty much anything. But when I was going through it, I couldn't watch anything like that, because then all the trauma will come back again and you'll have a panic attack. You'll probably start sweating. You'll burst out in tears, you know, because remember this, you're dealing with PTSD. You know, I got diagnosed with PTSD. It's extremely common with pretty much any victim of narcissistic abuse. You'll have flashbacks. So this is why you must do everything in your power to try to neutralize that as much as humanly possible. Have a makeover when you feel like you're able to. You know, get a new tattoo, get your nails done, your hair, you know, you change your hair color if you want. Just do anything that makes you feel reborn, rebirthed, a new energy. Even cutting your hair can be very healing, because your hair stores energy. It doesn't mean you have to go super short, but you can just get layers, thin it out, or just, you know, a bit off. It can still help shed the energy of it. But your whole priority needs to be, you know, cleansing, purging out the negative energy that you've been tainted with, that they've implemented and seeded within you, and calming yourself down, de-stressing and regulating your nervous system again. So this will help heal the PTSD. This will eventually help you, you know, stop having nightmares, because another, you know, common symptom with people with PTSD is you'll get reoccurring nightmares. You can even have something what's called good nightmares. So you'll always dream of them being really nice to you, really loving, and then you'll wake up crying, because obviously that's not reality. So you can have both bad nightmares of them obviously attacking you, replaying what they've done to you in real life. And then you can have delusional good nightmares, where they're basically playing the role that you wish they were. And these can actually be sometimes worse, because it's like, that's obviously what you yearned for. That's what you were tricked into believing that you were going to have and receive, or how they treated you right in the beginning during the love bombing phase. So then when you're getting that, obviously when you're severely, severely broken, it's such a brutal pain. So this is why you must go no contact, delete pictures, neutralize all triggers, change your environment. Don't listen to songs that obviously remind you of them. Don't watch movies or TV shows that you watched with them. You know, in time you can, but when it's fresh, just stay away. Don't do that. So, you know, again, with narcissists, they won't have any of this. You know, they can happily watch a TV show that they would have, you know, binge watched with you all the time. And they'll watch it with their new supply or their mates or whatever and feel literally nothing. So again, this is more closure to make you understand that the victim is the person who has severe PTSD over it. Because you've been severely traumatized, you've been broken, you know, mentally and spiritually and physically. That's what PTSD is. So it's not just like, you know, it's CPTSD, which means it's complex. You know, CPTSD is when you've had reoccurring trauma for a long time, things that have happened, you know, again and again and again, when you've basically been under chronic stress and been in fight or flight mode for years. It's like you've been at war for years in your own body and minds. You know, normal PTSD will be like a one tragic thing. So like getting SA'd, getting assaulted, you know, once, so then that completely traumatizes you. Having a car crash, some sort of accident. But CPTSD is somewhat worse because it's like way more complicated, way deeper, because it's been over a span of years. The trauma was much longer. And this is why it can take longer to heal from. So bear that in mind. Do somatic healing. You know, there's loads of types of different exercises where you can reprogram your subconscious mind, your subconscious body, to make yourself have emotional releases, release stored trauma. You know, but even moving your body is very effective. So I do recommend going to the gym, but do weight training and low impact cardio. So do like a good level of weight training, but nothing too extreme. You know, don't be trying to get super strong, just, you know, a good moderate level of weight training, and in conjunction with low impact cardio. So it's like walking or the Stairmaster, but, you know, not for too long. Stay away from anything that's going to trigger your adrenaline essentially as well. Because this can throw you off. This can stress out the body too much. You need to calm down. You know, there's some good supplements that can also help with this. You know, take supplements that obviously de-stress you, that calm you down. You know, matcha is one of my favorite things to have, that like gives you some energy, but doesn't like put you into like that crashing, you know, high-low sort of energy that like normal coffee does. If you do drink coffee, then just keep it to like 1 or 2 cups a day before, you know, the afternoon. So it's just implementing lifestyle changes that are going to help you heal, you know, slowly. But bear in mind, it takes time. This isn't an overnight thing. It took years for you to become broken and traumatized and all dysregulated. When in the beginning you were not like that, it took years for you to become this broken, reactive, aggressive person. That is your body in survival mode. So it's so difficult. It's like climbing Mount Everest. It really, truly is. And this is why so many people, normally around 70% of victims, unalive themselves. It's that bad. Narcissists, you know, should be put in prison for what they do to people, because they literally murder you slowly. They kill your soul. And that's what most people who have just gone through, you know, normal sort of toxic relationships don't understand. It's completely different. So bear that in mind. Understand you're not alone. Understand I hear and see your pain. Understand that what you feel is valid. So you're not gone crazy, because a lot of people who go through this sort of abuse end up thinking that they're crazy, that they're the ones with BPD, bipolar disorder, severe anxious attachment. So many women especially end up in mental homes after enduring this sort of shit. I literally saw and had a nurse tell me, one of my clients who works in an asylum in a mental home, she says so many women are there after they've endured abusive, toxic relationships, and so many of them are not crazy. They've literally just got to their point where they had severe mental breakdowns, and then they were gaslit into thinking that they were the problem by the abusive man, and then put there. So don't become one of those. It's so easy to become like that, and to like give up. Trust me, I've been there so many times. I felt this myself many times. I was on the brink, because, you know, it's so common. There was even a story recently, actually, very sad. I think it was a few months ago. You know, a well-known famous influencer. I can't remember her name. I'll try to find it. But basically, she hung herself after a breakup. And even though she had loads of followers, you know, she was doing very well money-wise and all this. She was so beautiful. She was young. She ended up unaliving herself after a very toxic relationship ending, because he was unfaithful to her. And so this is like, people underestimate the severity of betrayal trauma. People don't understand and take it seriously enough the severe psychological, physical damage that it causes. This type of energy, this type of trauma is the worst form of trauma that you can endure. It truly is, because nothing changes your whole personality as much as betrayal trauma. It's bad enough getting assaulted or essayed or whatever by a stranger or someone who is a predator, but it is a million times worse having it done by someone you once loved, someone who you thought loved you, someone who you thought and was told by is going to protect you and that you're safe around. That brutality, that emotional pain is unmatched. You know, some people literally can die from a broken heart. It physically causes them to have heart attacks. It physically causes them to get hospitalized. You know, on average, it takes about 2 to 3 years after no contact, after that person is like gone, for you to fully heal, to detach, to let go and repair the damage that has been done physically, mentally and spiritually. It's not an overnight thing. And normally, especially if you've been with someone, you know, for years, it won't be as long if it was a short term thing. If it was a few months or a year or two, it will still take time. So, but bear in mind, you know, everyone heals at their own rate. If you really, really dedicate yourself to it, it can quicken it. But it's really understanding the severity of it, the seriousness of it, really understand the severity that emotional trauma can cause to your whole entire being. It can kill you. Like, really understand what I'm saying, really listen. It can fucking kill you. So don't give up. Follow these steps. If you need extra help, then please click the link down below. Book a one-to-one session with me. I do have a summer sale on with 20% off. So you can book your own time and spot, and I'll be more than happy to help you. You know, I offer obviously spiritual guidance through my readings, my intuition, but I'm also extremely knowledgeable in obviously conscious relationships, narcissistic abuse, so I can give coaching and healing and advice to anyone who's enduring this type of situation. Please like and subscribe, and don't forget to click the notification bell. Share this video to people who you feel are struggling and need this, who are going through heartbreak or betrayal. You know, because it is such an important thing. It's really, really life or death, you know, when people are dealing with this sort of energy. I'm sending you so much love, so much light. If you are enduring this, please sign up to my Goddess Coven Patreon if you want to gain exclusive access to all the content I have on there, which I can't share on YouTube, which also have spiritual updates, energy updates, you know, full moon updates, and, you know, a lot more. We also have a public chat there now, so it's like a nice community that's building. Also direct messaging to me personally. So also monthly Q&As where I go very much into depth with anything that you need help with there. So join my coven, become part of the community, and we can help each other, and, you know, you find support there. So until next time, my loves, I'm sending you so much love, so much light. Ahimsa.